All right. Now, hopefully everything is working like it should. Let's get this helmet down. There we go. Now we can begin our ride. The microphone didn't want to connect for me for some reason. We are going to try this with a little bit of talking today. Not sure how well it's going to turn out. Not sure how well the microphone's going to hear inside my headset, but away we go. work when it rains. They don't load dirt when it's wet. It sticks in your truck, doesn't dump out. Not to mention, trucks get stuck pretty easily when they're loaded down with dirt and soft ground. Taco Bell. then hopefully it will be better. Feel free to criticize, or constructive criticism, I guess would be the right word. I started making videos because I wanted to start recording my longer rides. So these first few videos that I've posted on YouTube have kind of been my learning experience, learning how to edit videos and record them and make them look half decent. That's why some of them look kind of cheesy. That dump truck video, I just found out how to put the letters and words on the screen and fade in and fade out, so look kind of 90s, but hey, I'm a Gen X. 90s works for me. Sign language. city limit sign. Fixing to make a comment about these roads being curvy and big trucks having a hard time on them. And hey, look, we've got a fuel truck who looks like he got off the road a little too far. Takes skills to drive these roads. To town. This is it. You've got a gas station. That strip mall thing hasn't been there a real long time, but right down here on the right in that little opening by the river, for a couple of years they decided they were going to dig a mud pit, and all the locals would come through and see if they could get their four-wheel drives through the mud pit. Very interesting to watch. They didn't get very far. They'd get stuck, had to be pulled out with an excavator or backhoe, whichever they had there. And then one day a professional came along in one of those steel cage buggies with paddle tires and about 1,000 horsepower. He told them, no, I don't need a cable, I can get through it. So he took off through it. Sure enough, he didn't need a cable. He ended up coming up out of the pit, ended up hitting a couple of vehicles, injured a few people, and I'm pretty sure they closed the mud run down after that. Now this here is the interesting part of Shirley. This is one of my favorite places. I used to come here a lot whenever I lived here. Ride my bicycle down here, skateboard. Train bridge. When I first lived here, the bottom of this bridge used to be wood. We were crossing it one day in a pickup truck, and one of the cross ties that you can see sticking out on each side snapped in the middle, came up, hit both sides of the truck, and at my age I thought it had just broken and we were going to fall in the river. Which, you know, looks pretty nasty to fall into in a truck. There's a swimming area right over there where that downed tree is, and we used to swim here, fish here. I have actually jumped off this bridge one time. I had friends that went all the way up there on top of the iron and they jumped off. They lived, but I was never quite that stupid. This road's dirt for about 5 miles, and then the river has washed it out. Great place to go riding four-wheelers or side-by-sides on the other side. But you cannot drive after that 5 miles. So let's go ahead and get off here, take a look around. There, I wrapped it in matte emerald green. It's actually wicked red is the color, but green and black are the colors it is right now. So we will keep it this color for a little while and see what we think of it. Okay. Took us a little break here at the river. I don't know if I'm going to add this to the first video or if I will make a separate video, but we're going to go ahead and continue our little trip through Shirley real quick. I did not add this on to the first video. We're back for another one. I'm just leaving the old train bridge in the small town of Shirley, where I explained having lived here for a few years, and that's Bumpy. Fairfield Bay. This way kind of skirts the outskirts of Fairfield Bay. We're still technically in Shirley. That dome, I have no idea what it is. It's been there since the early 90s. I think it was a restaurant at one point in time. I never ate there. Back there, went to school with him. His name was John. sign, it says the new road. They named this the new road back in the early 90s when they were building it. It's faster to get from Fairfield Bay to Clinton if you take this road. 30 plus years later, it is still called the new road. That's how imaginative the highway department is. distance and almost ran over a bear right here in this curve. I'm assuming Greer's Ferry Lake is just off over on the left. He was coming from the lake. Might be able to catch a glimpse of it here in just a second between these trees. Maybe not. Oh, there we go. Nope. It's so dry, it looked like dirt. Couldn't tell it's a lake. As dry as it has been, it's hard to believe all these trees and bushes are as green as they are. I was on the lake yesterday. I do believe it's about 20 feet low from its regular state. suspension, you would know that that PTL semi truck up there rode his brakes all the way down that mountain.